Yo, what's up? What's good? It's Colin, back with another checklist, and today we have none other LA Galaxy versus Houston Dynamo. A matchup that seems to be garnering some rivalry, has some intensity. You look at our decision day in 2024 where the Dynamo come back with a fantastic 2-1 victory to jump seeds, to force LA Galaxy to the second seed and LAFC to the first seed. This game has all of the rumblings of a great match in it. So without further ado, let's get started. LA Galaxy versus Houston Dynamo kickoff in Carson at 9:30 p.m. Central tonight. And in all my years of watching the Dynamo play, I will never get used to this 9:30 p.m. Central night. Each year I get older, each year I get more tired earlier, and I'll be honest guys, even on a Saturday night, 9:30 p.m. Central is past my bedtime. So we're going to see how I do with that, and we're going to see how the Dynamo do because they need wins. I mean,
they ask you how you are, you just have to say that you're fine when you're not really fine, but you just can't get into it because they would never understand.
When I say 2025 and the word Dynamo in the same sentence, you should not be having very good thoughts. I mean, the Dynamo have just gotten their first win, obviously against LAFC last week, and it was a very unconvincing, very boring, very meh win. The Dynamo didn't have many chances. We got a little lucky to get a pretty good, goal from Jack McGlynn from far out that I don't think goes in very often. I mean, he caught a very good goalkeeper off his balance and tucked it into that far right corner, and sometimes that goes in and sometimes it doesn't. We're lucky it went in this time because had it not, the Dynamo could very well be winless in 7 matches. And one of the only teams that are doing worse than the Dynamo in MLS this year is, of course, LA Galaxy, who are winless through 7 matches.
And out of play, it is over! It is over! The LA Galaxy are once again Major League Soccer's champions! Number 6 for the Galaxy.
By now, the LA Galaxy fans have gone through all of the stages of grief, and the season's not even halfway over. At the time of recording, the former MLS Cup champions of 2024 are sitting quietly on the bottom of the West. After 7 matches, this team sits winless. Statistically, this is the worst start by any reigning MLS Cup champion ever.
They have lost many home games, of course their first one being against San Diego FC, the new MLS expansion side, who traveled to LA to begin that rivalry and beat them in LA. So there is a lot going into this match, and honestly, with both teams doing so poor and the Dynamo actually having more results away from home than at home, the Dynamo look to be some sort of competitive when playing teams away, and the Dynamo have gotten pretty good results against Columbus Crew and Seattle Sounders away from home, both being 0-0 draws. And that being said, the defense, while has not been great, has had a lot more confidence since Erik Sviatchenko, the Danish center back, has arrived back in the 11 after dealing with a lingering injury since the start of the season. Wow, linger. That's a word that I want to hear pretty often, pretty soon. Unfortunately, Andrzej Linger, the Dynamo's newest DP attacking midfielder, will not be available against LA Galaxy. That's a big loss as Ezequiel Ponce, Dynamo's $7.5 million man, needs really good service to score goals, and he's not getting any service. He's not the type of striker that can hold up the ball, and unfortunately Ben Olsen will keep on playing him like that. And one of my biggest critiques of Ben Olsen up to this point as of last week was that Ben Olsen was incredibly stubborn in his way of managing games and managing tactics. And luckily, we saw a little bit of change with Jack McGlynn going on that right side of the midfield, almost playing in the right mid spot, taking over that Coco position. And obviously, we all know that when Jack McGlynn was brought into the team, he was advertised to be this Hector Herrera replacement. And of course, he has not been the worst player on the team, and he's far from been the problem. However, he has definitely had his best game against LAFC while playing in that Coco role. So I hope to see more of that against LA Galaxy. So onto the checklist. One of the biggest things that the Dynamo are going to need to do is shore up that back line. They need to have a very strong back line, and Eric Sviatchenko, his presence in that back line will be very beneficial, as we saw against LAFC. Considering the fact that LA Galaxy have two of the hardest hitters in MLS in Gabriel Peck and Painstill at their disposal, it is absolutely necessary that our backline remains strong. And honestly, we're going to need to see a very good relationship between Femi Awodosu and Eric Sviatchenko if there's going to be any sort of result coming out of Carson. The next box on our checklist that has to be checked off in order to get a result is Junior Urso, right? He replaced Nicolas Lodeiro in the lineup, who, in my opinion, was struggling pretty heavily. And since his time in the starting 11, he has been absolutely critical in defending the ball, advancing the ball, passing the ball along the lines. He does everything, and he shows up everywhere. He is a very old man and 36 years old, and honestly, he is one of our most essential players already. So I expect that in order to get a result, he is going to need to play at the top of his level like he has been these past few games. We have played some of our best football this season, and in fact, we have played our true brand of football for the first time in reality against LAFC, and a lot of that is due to Junior Urso. So in order for us to keep possession, to play our passing style of ball, he's going to need to play absolutely perfect. The last box on my checklist is simply confidence. The Dynamo have gained a ton of confidence after that LAFC win, and it is being reported in training that the vibes are a lot better. There's smiling, there's joking, there's a lot of, things that we aren't seeing whenever the mood is low. The mood is very high right now. So the Dynamo are going to need to build off of that and continue on this trajectory of getting better with a win, a draw. Either one of those would be absolutely acceptable against LA Galaxy, a team that you cannot take for granted. You cannot underestimate this team regardless of their record. Moving on to the starting 11, we're going to see Blake Gillingham. Dynamo did recently announce Jonathan Bond, the England goalkeeper who came from Watford and recently with LA Galaxy. However, he has not been with the team for more than a few days, and I think it would be absolutely disastrous for Ben Olsen to take Blake Gillingham out, a young goalkeeper, 22 years old, who is playing some of the best football of his life, and getting these reps is so important for his growth. I think it would be terrible to take him out of the 11, and I think Ben Olsen has the same sentiment as me. For that reason, I'm going to have Blake Gillingham in the goalkeeping spot. The back line will be Escobar at left back, Sviatchenko, Femi Odosu at the center back roles, and Griffin Dorsey at the right back roles. Like I said in our checklist, this is going to be very, very important for the back line to remain strong, to remain cohesive, and to stop all attacks. The midfield, I could see Nicolas Lodeiro in place for Junior Urso. Junior Urso is older. He does have some fatigue, I'm sure. However, I'm going to have Junior Urso in my 11 just because of how important I know he'll be. Okay? We're going to have Jack McGlynn to the right of him. And at that CDM role, of course, we're going to have our captain, Artur. Up front, I could go either way with Aliu or Seba Kowalczyk at the left wing role. Both have been absolutely terrible, and neither of them have a goal or an assist to show for 7 games into the season. However, I did really like Aliu's energy coming off the bench against LAFC. If you remember that one play, he took the ball down the left wing spot late into the match and won a corner from very good dribbling and a very smart play to waste some more time, to get that Dynamo, to get them over the finish line and get their first win of the season. Aliu was pivotal in closing out the game, and maybe Ben Olsen rewards him. However, I'm going to keep Seba Kowalczyk, the Polish man, in the starting 11. We're going to have to see a better streak of performance from him, or I can easily see him going back to the bench. Ponce, of course, up top, and Bassi at the right wing role. That's the strongest 11 that the Dynamo have at their disposal as of right now. But don't forget, the Dynamo do have a few players coming in, including Linger, including Ortiz, the new center back, and also Dwayne Holmes, who I expect will start in that 11 whenever he's fully healthy from his leg injury. With that being said, the lineups are said, the checklist is stated. Let's get on to the results, the moment we've all been waiting for. Drumroll, please. and I think the Dynamo will fall 1-2 against LA Galaxy. I think that we're going to struggle pretty heavily. We don't usually have that good of luck in LA Galaxy, and especially with a team that's getting a lot of players back from injury and a team that's not having to worry about CONCACAF Champions Cup anymore, they're going to be a team that's dangerous, right? I talked to Edgar Valiz of NAGS earlier this week, a representative of LA Galaxy, and he mentioned to me that he believes this will be the start of their season, the official start of their season. And that's a dangerous LA Galaxy side to face. So for that reason, of all the reasons stated above, I think the Dynamo will fall 1-2. I would love a draw. I would be thrilled for a win. I'm expecting a loss. Thank you guys for staying till the end. This has been Colin with Keeping Tabs, making sure all tabs are kept. Go and keep your tabs. Thank you and goodbye.